Hi guys, and welcome to the September edition of Simply Scuba Live. Hi, so I'm Mark, I'm your instructor. I'm going to be going over all sorts of interesting news topics, and this month I'm going to be talking about dry suits. On our Twitter feed and probably some of our other social media, it might mention that I'm going to be talking about cylinders, but sorry, I thought that was a bit boring this month, so I actually changed it to dry suits. I'll talk about cylinders another time. A few things. The first off is that we're trying out a new microphone. So if the sound goes a little bit weird, sorry, we'll try and fix it. Also, I've got a bit of a cold right now. So if I sniff or I need to blow my nose, sorry about that. I'm only human, but I'll do my best. The drugs are working so far, but I might sniff. So first off, we're going to have a look at some news topics. Okay, so September news. So a few things this month. We've had a couple competitions. The first one, we ran a competition for to win a free DPV, a Sea-Doo diver propulsion vehicle. And the proud winner of that is a chap called Anthony. He looks very proud here in his living room with his brand new DPV. Hopefully he'll get some good use out of it. These are great fun. We've got a nice good range of them here. And they're just fun just to pull yourself around. Even if you're not on scuba, just snorkeling, they're great fun. The kids love them as well. You just have to be careful of your buoyancy. We ran another competition, which is to win a £500 gift voucher, and the winner is Amy Cobbock. She won £500 worth of Simply Scuba gift vouchers, so congratulations to her. Just a news topic, Project Aware, which is sort of Paddy's eco-friendly sort of side of things. I've announced a new campaign, Beneath the Waves, and it's basically, if you use the hashtag Beneath the Waves, take pictures of any marine debris that you found and put it up onto there. They're going to create this whole big montage and put that towards their their campaign. So you've got the web address down there, www.projectaware.org/beneath the waves. Any of your pictures, if you see any rubbish or stuff on the beaches or underwater, you can just upload them there, and they're going to use that to do some really good things for the environment. A new thing is or not new, I mentioned it a few months ago, Scuba Diving Magazine were asking for they've got their photo awards. This is the magazine's 11th annual photo contest winners. So the grand prize went for this picture. It's a very vivid picture of what looks like a lobster by Luke Rumin. Very, very vibrant, and there's a bit of movement in there. Very nice in a macro shot. We've got a few others. So these are the photo contest winners from Macro Shot. Beautiful, beautiful colors. I do like macro. It's a bit hard to you've got to get your buoyancy just right. You've got to set up the shot, and you've got to get all the lighting exactly perfect. But these guys have captured some amazing scenes. There's a lot more in the honorable mentions, but these guys won the sort of first, second, and third prize. For wide angle, we've got these shots. These are very, very beautiful. Lots of colors, lots of action. Again, if you've got your cameras, set them up and get ready for next year's competition. These are honorable mentions as well. These are all stunning shots in their own right. They didn't make it to the grand final, but beautiful, beautiful pictures. This is just a news story. This is a poor turtle. It's a loggerhead turtle that got hit by a boat propeller in Turkey, and it kind of mangled up its jaw. But using 3D printing and medical grade titanium, a company called BTEC have actually reconstructed this turtle's jaw. I think he's still in rehab. They're just sort of getting him ready to go back into the wild. But this is an incredible piece of sort of medical technology. They're managing to sort of rehabilitate this turtle, reconstruct his jaw, and kind of put him back into the wild. Back in the good old days, this turtle would have just sort of died and gone to waste. But now they're actually spending a lot more time to actually sort of bring him back to life. And look at this; it's incredible work that they've done. Few sort of small things are coming out. The miniature monocools of the future are, but there's two things. The first one I'm going to talk about is removing the carbon dioxide from the water. And this is from San Diego, the University of California, I believe. They've actually created this tiny, tiny little molecule that uses enzymes to move itself through the water. And as it does that, it actually breaks down the carbon dioxide in the water and turns it into calcium carbonate. So as you know, carbon dioxide is all these sort of greenhouse gases. It's being absorbed into the water and making it more acidic, making it a harder place for the sort of local wildlife to thrive. They're not used to these changes in pH. But what these tiny, tiny little machines do is they actually just break it down and turn it into calcium carbonate, as I said, which is basically what shells and stuff is made out of. So it's not harmful in any way. It's incredibly efficient. In testing, they actually removed 88% of carbon dioxide in seawater. So it's still in sort of prototype stages, but really great big sort of leap forward in this area. The other one I haven't got a picture of. I couldn't find any kind of picture or diagram for it. It's been around. It was really announced about a year ago, really, and it's called Aquaman crystals. They've sort of dubbed it after the DC comic book hero. And what these are, they act very similar to hemoglobin in your blood. They're basically crystals that bind to oxygen, and then when you heat them up or apply a vacuum to them, they release the oxygen. And they're so efficient that they can actually absorb the oxygen out of water. Now, why that's interesting for us is that we could almost do away with scuba cylinders, because these crystals, all you need is a few grains of this, is going to absorb oxygen out of the water. You apply heat to it, and then you could inhale that as a breathable gas. It's obviously nowhere near a kind of recreational stage or even a testing stage, but it was designed for sort of patients that need oxygen cylinders. They're big, bulky oxygen cylinders, and they need to be refilled. Whereas these little crystals, they could absorb the oxygen as pure oxygen and then release it to the patient as needed. Very, very clever technology. If it does come forward, we can get rid of the sort of big, clumsy cylinders and whatnot. Very interesting. I don't know whether it will be around in our lifetimes, but it's very, very interesting to look at. The next one is a Kickstarter that I kind of stumbled across. And this is the Trident underwater drone. Now, this company, they started on Kickstarter a little while ago. I think it's about 3 years now, with a different underwater drone. Now they brought out this little zippy thing, and it's incredible. If you just search Google for a Trident underwater drone, this thing just moves along like there's no tomorrow. It's very, very fast, very, very nimble, and it's tough as nails. They originally designed it for people that just want to have a look underwater, but people are actually using it to sort of map underwater dive sites. It's waterproof down to 100 meters. It's designed to work in salt water, so it's going to be corrosion resistant. It flies along at 2 meters per second, so this thing doesn't hang around. The sort of basic model comes with a 25-meter tether, but you can upgrade it to a 100-meter tether. So if you want to map a very wide dive site, especially for the sort of treasure hunters out there, this is really going to zoom backwards and forwards and really sort of cover the distance. And you've got the HD camera, underwater lights, and yeah, just very, very fun. You can plug any you can see them using like Oculus Rift goggles, so you can see yourself underwater controlling the thing with a games console controller. Very, very clever. Fits into a suitcase, nice and small, nice and light as well. And the battery run time is about 3 hours, so you get a lot of life out of it. A little bit of fun there, really. This one's a bit of statistics. This came out a bit earlier this week, and selfie-related deaths have outnumbered shark attack deaths this year. So far this year, This month, 12 people have died taking selfies, either by falling downstairs or onto train tracks or other tragic, obviously, circumstances. But as far as shark attacks, only 8 people have died from shark attacks this year. So it's actually more dangerous to take a selfie than to go swimming with sharks. Again, this is more propaganda is a bad word, but it's good press for sharks, because actually sharks, they're not that dangerous. They're not interested in us. It's just mistaken identity when we get hurt. Now we're on to new products. We've got the Atomic Venom frameless mask. So this is a hybrid between the Atomic Venom mask and the frameless mask. Kind of a hybrid of the two, but what's really interesting about this, you can see it more obviously on the red version, but you've got 2 different silicons on this skirt. The red silicon, or in the black version, the kind of matte black version, it's Atomic call it their super soft gummy bear seal, which has a very soft softness rating. It's measured in clo, I believe, and it has a hardness rating of 10 clo. Now, stuff like hard hats and car tires, they're like 100 to sort of 80 clo, I believe, whereas actual gummy bear sweets are about 10 clo. I think I remember reading that that chewing gum is 20 clo. So it's incredibly soft. And when I first tried this on, this is at Anglesey Scuba Fest when Atomic UK first sort of announced it. I have facial hair. I've got I usually sort of grow out my facial hair, and normally you put a new mask to your face and you inhale and you get a bit of air traveling up sort of underneath your nose. But with this, it molded and it stuck true. So very clever. It's a lot of skirts tend to be quite flat, and they just seem to just do the job, and they seal on your face, and that's it. They can apply a lot of pressure, especially if you pull your straps too tight. But with this, it has a new sort of geometry. It's kind of bulbous, the skirt, which makes it very soft, very pliable, very comfortable. And even if you're diving with it for a good hour or so, you come out and you don't have that mark all around your face. Very comfortable mask, very high quality. Atomic make beautiful masks. They put a lot of attention into their lenses. If you know, with glass, if you look at glass from the edge, it appears green. So this is all the sort of iron and minerals inside the glass. Atomic, they strip all of these minerals out. So if you look at, you can't see it in frameless mask or any of the masks. If you look at the edge, it's completely clear. What that does, it just allows more natural light to come in. Most people, they won't know an obvious difference unless you take one mask and move it straight over to one of these Atomic masks. You have very clear representation of the underwater colors. We've got a few of our Simply Scuba regulator and computer bags. So these are a new product. We have these made ourselves. We're very proud of these. We had the first 50 flew in. The rest, we've got a few, another 100 or so. I think it's about 250. So they're on their way. But these are very nice padded regulator bag. The material itself, we've gone for a it's a polyurethane coated sort of tarpaulin, so it's splash proof, and everything about it, we've gone, well, let's just go sort of one better. We could have gone really cheap and just gone for a really basic regulator bag, but no, that's not what we're about. We like providing quality, and we really think that this is a high quality product. We're selling them as separate products, because we've got the smaller computer bag, which is a nice little bag, padded. You can put your computer in there. It'll fit inside the regulator bag with your regulators, and it just stops your dive computer getting knocked around when you're traveling it about. And then you've got the regulator bag itself. As you can see, we put a full set of scuba regulators in. They coil away nice and tidy. Some regulator bags, they can be a bit cramped. You've got to bend the hoses a lot. but with this, there's lots of space in there for them. Another thing, we're getting more waterproof undersuits. Now, waterproof is the brand name. They're not waterproof. They are waterproof. It's a very misleading name, unfortunately. Very, very good brand. Waterproof make undersuits and dry suits, wetsuits. They make exposure protection. That's all they do, and they do it very, very well. We've been selling the BodyTech dual layer for a good few months now. It's a very good seller, very, very efficient. Now we've started to stock the BodyTech single layer, which is one on the right hand side, 2-part undersuit. So this is just a nice, thin, lightweight base layer. It was designed to be worn with the D1 dry suit, because the D1 has an integrated undersuit, but the internal membrane can be quite coarse. I'll talk about this later when I'm talking about dry suits. But this is all you really need with it. And also with the waterproof D9, a breathable dry suit, this is all you need. The D9 is designed as a very, very lightweight travel dry suit. It's all completely foldable except for the valves, but it's designed as a travel dry suit. A lot more people are taking dry suits traveling, and this, I think it weighs under 4 kilos, I believe. Very, very light, and now you've got a perfect undersuit to go with it. On the left-hand side, we've got the more substantial warm tech. So this is a bit heavier weight. This is more for your cold water diving. Again, it's this one is a full-length one-piece suit. It's fitted, so it's got an elasticated waist. That's just going to tuck it in nice around your waist, and it's going to give you a good, even coverage over your entire body. You got 4 pockets, 2 across either breast, and 2 just hand pockets in front of your waist, and a long double zipper. And it's just very, very nice, warm, and it gives you a very even coverage over your entire body. Everything about it is it's just very good for cold water diving. Gives you that overall protection. Now that we've got them in, we're giving them away for free. Only for October, we've got a free undersuit offer with waterproof dry suits. So with the D1, this is their sort of headliner, their very sort of top of the range dry suit. We're giving away a free single layer BodyTech undersuit. With the D7, which is basically a front entry D1, but without the internal lining, exactly the same suit, except it's front entry. We're giving away one of the warm techs with them. With the D9, which is that lightweight travel dry suit, we're giving away the single BodyTech. And then with the neoprene D10, we're giving away the double layer BodyTech undersuit. So if you've been looking for an undersuit now, the weather's starting to get a bit cold. It's getting more to dry suit territory. If you're digging your old one out and it's the seals are gone, it's looking a bit tired, it needs too many repairs, have a look. We've got some great offers on free undersuits. If you're new to it as well, waterproof, top brand. I used to use a waterproof D10 when I used to teach. Very, very strong dry suit. Yeah, perfect for British diving. Very, very nice, high quality dry suits. We're running an offer on the Oceanic, the Oceanic Omega 3. Every time you buy the Omega 3 with the FDXI first stage, we're giving you a free Omega second stage Octo. So that's going to count. That's going to save you £180. Top of the range regulators. I really like the Omegas. I used to teach on Omega 2s. They're very, very useful, especially when you're teaching, but even when you're recreational diving. It doesn't matter which way up they are. If you're donating regulators, they're always the right way up. Conventional sort of upright second stages, you can put them in upside down and you get a very wet breath. With side vent, doesn't matter which way you put them up, they're always the right way up. Bubbles come out towards the side of your face. They're always away from you, so you get a nice unobstructed, clear view. Your purge valve is facing backwards, so if you're swimming into a strong current, you'll never get that slight free flow when you're swimming into strong current. And they're just a really nice, they're pneumatically balanced. So when you take a breath of air, you get a very big rush of air. It's a very, very comforting rush. One thing that I will note is that on the images and probably in my video is that that I mentioned the pre-dive switch. Oceanic have removed that pre-dive switch. Now it's just a standard swivelable entry into the second stage. They felt that they didn't need that pre-dive switch. Not enough people were using it, and it was just an additional thing to go wrong. With these regulators, you get Oceanic's lifetime warranty. So as long as you register them with Oceanic, every year you get your free service kits. All you have to do is pay for labor. That's the same across all Oceanic, Hollis, and Aris regulators. Every time, as long as you get them serviced between sort of 11 and 13 months, you get your free service kits. So so after about, I don't know, about 5 years or so, they've actually paid for themselves. Very, very good, very nice regulators. We've also got the SEAX Hub iFlex 7mm wetsuit offer. So for a limited time, we're knocking 15% off. So that's saving yourself some quite a lot of money. Now that the weather's starting to turn cold, if you're not a Drysuit qualified diver, 7mm is really the thickness that you need to go for. This ends the end of September. So so really, if you want to get a good quality, cheap wetsuit, have a look at the SEAC range of wetsuits. Okay, and that's the news. So now I'm going to move on to some questions. Bear with me, I just got to wake this up. So the first one comes from James Daniel on Facebook. He says, "Hi, I lost a wedding ring in one of Norfolk Broads a few days ago. I marked the spot with a buoy, but I've no way to recover it. I'm looking for someone who has the ability to dive in 7 to 8 feet of muddy fresh water and locate and recover a small metal object, underwater metal detector. Is anyone here able to do that or give me any leads to investigate, please?" Yeah, someone out there must be able to help. Maybe one of you guys, if you've got an underwater metal detector, go onto our Facebook page. You'll be able to see his message. Feel free to message him back. Anybody, it's a good cause. Is his wedding ring that he lost? Yeah. If any of you have got those kind of expertise, it's only sort of 7 to 8 feet. Very, very easy. You won't need fins for this. You'll just stir up all the silt. Yeah, let's see if we can help this guy find his wedding ring. Camille via email asks, "Hello, does the waterproof D1 require more weights than a 5 to 7mm neoprene dry suit?" Yes. The D1, it has an internal sort of membrane undersuit, and this provides a constant layer of air all over your body. And what this does is it keeps you very nice and warm, but it also traps a lot of air in the suit, so you do need a little bit more lead than a traditional, even a neoprene dry suit. My mate Daryl, we were diving way up north, and yeah, as soon as he jumped in, he thought he worked out how much lead he needed. He needed a bit more, just because that sort of built-in undersuit, very, very buoyant. So yeah, you do need a extra few pounds or kilos of lead. Sam via email asking about semi-dry suits. Can you advise if a 5mm semi-dry suit would be advisable for water temperatures of 18 to 20 degrees? Wetsuit thickness and temperatures is very, very personal. It depends how much you feel the cold, unfortunately. It's a very hard question for us to say, yeah, you'll be fine. One thing I'll say is that hoods make a world of difference. Gloves as well. Your hands will go numb after a while. Don't go for crazy thick gloves, because the whole reason to wear gloves is to keep the warmth and keep the dexterity. But if you're wearing the big, thick 7mm gloves, you're losing the dexterity straight off. So go for sort of 5mm, go for more effective seals. You don't have to go thicker just to stay warmer. But a 5mm semi-dry, 18 to 20 degrees, I don't know, it depends how hard you are. I'd always rather have too much exposure protection than not enough. Yeah, always have too much than not enough. Yasir on Discuss asking about the Cressy Leonardo dive computer. He's a new diver looking at purchasing. Does the countdown start automatically when at 5 meters for safety stop? Yes, yeah, most dive computers nowadays, they have an automatic function. If you go down below, say 10 meters, it'll automatically just kind of register in itself. And when you come back to about 5 meters, it will start counting down that 3-minute safety stop. Cressy Leonardo definitely does. And yeah, I think a good 99% of dive computers out there will automatically start up the 3-minute safety stop. Another one from ClasDG. With the Apex WSX 25 side mount harness, whereabouts do you fit or attach the bungee used for the cylinders? So the bungees, sorry about that. The bungees, they attach to, or one part, I normally fix it right up sort of behind your shoulders. And then you'll have 2 bolt snaps. The bolt snaps come round to your shoulder strap, and that creates a loop that you just put over the cylinder valve that just holds the cylinder valve up into your body. Now, there's 2 real trains of thought. You either have 2 separate bungees, one for each side, or what's becoming more and more common nowadays is a single loop that just goes across your back and connects to either shoulder. Just try them out. I started off with the 2. I've tried the single loop. It's personal preference now. Great thing about side mount is that you can adjust, you can play about and really just customize things how you like them. Obviously, have a chat with your instructor. Get in the water. That's the most important thing. Get your buddy to watch you, see your trim, because as much as it feels fine, having someone else look at you in the water, they can see exactly sort of your profile in the water, and they can say, oh, well, this cylinder, you just need to knock it up a little bit more, tighten this. But yeah, it attaches sort of behind your shoulder blades and then across in front of your, onto either shoulder. Okay, guys, now I'm going to move on to my presentation on dry suits. So, dry suits in the UK, I use a dry suit all year round. They are a wonderful thing. A lot of people that I used to dive with, they don't like dry suits. They say, oh, they're a lot of work. They're a lot of hassle. But I prefer diving in a dry suit. I find it much more. I'm trying to think of the words. I want to say secure. It's not the right word, but that's how I feel inside a dry suit. Dry suits are much more effective at keeping you warm underwater because they trap a layer of air over your body, and they, similar to a wetsuit, they trap it against you. Your body warms that up, and then you use that as an insulating layer. So water is a very bad insulator, as it were. Air is a very good insulator. Now, the problem with this is that trying to trap air underwater is quite hard. Air likes to escape. So you need airtight seals. And you need special training because now you're adding air similar to your BCD, but now you're using your dry suit. So you've got inflation and deflation valves. So dry suits, you can use them all around the world in all weathers. Waterproof, yeah, they brought out the D9 breathable dry suit. So on the surface, it's similar to Gore-Tex material. If you know what Gore-Tex is, it's kind of it's a semi-breathable membrane. So it won't let water in, but it will let sweat out. So if you're in warm temperatures and you want to dive in a dry suit, go for a D9. Or you can go to the extreme and go to the Arctic, go to the Antarctic, and dive under ice in a dry suit. Now, it'd be very, very hard to do it in a wetsuit. dry suit is really the way to go, because air is that much of a better insulator. It's going to keep you much warmer when you're diving. So dry suits come in a whole range of shapes, sizes, colors, materials, and all sorts of different sort of features. And in this presentation, I want to try and sort of break them all down and try and help you guys if you're looking for a new dry suit or you've never had a dry suit, what is going on and what to look for, what to avoid, because unfortunately a lot of it is personal preference. You'll go to a lot of the forums, you'll talk to your instructor or your buddies and say, okay, I want to buy a dry suit. Which one should I buy? There are hundreds out there, and we sell a lot of them. And it's just trying to figure out which one you prefer. And if you've never done it before, this can be quite hard. So a lot of it is just try it and see. But some of them have pros, some of them have cons. And yeah, this presentation is supposed to try and help you choose. So first of all, how do dry suits work? So dry suits work, you have an airtight seal around your neck. You have 2 airtight cuff seals around your wrists, around your cuffs. You've got a dry zip that either goes across your back or across your front in some orientation. And then you have an inflation valve similar to your BCD. Push a button, it takes air from your scuba cylinder, puts it in the suit. And you have a dump valve as well. 2 different types of dump valves. They're either on the cuff, which is just a standard dump valve. As soon as air gets near it, it's just a one-way valve, lets the air out. Or you get automatic shoulder dumps like this one on the top right-hand side. This you can dial up or dial down to either let lots of air out or not let any air out. So how these all work is you jump in, and first of all, you'll be very, very buoyant because you've got a lot of trapped air in it. You need to get rid of that air by pressing the dump valve, trying to get that bubble of air up to your shoulder, dump it, and that lets you under the water. You then ignore your BCD. Instructors take 2 different tacks with this. Some people say use sort of half and half with your BCD and your dry suit. Some say just use your dry suit. It's a personal thing. But the more air that you can put into your dry suit, the more insulation you have to keep you warm. So especially if I'm diving with twins, I don't need any lead. So I can use extra buoyancy. I'm not going to put it in my BCD. That's just going to be wasted as such. If I put it in my dry suit, it's going to keep me warm. So I like having to add a lot of air into my dry suit. Underneath your dry suit, depending on the water temperature, you have to wear an undersuit. So the undersuit is just an undergarment that traps a layer of air against your skin. It's going to wick all of the moisture off of your skin, because as soon as you seal yourself into that dry suit, you're in 100% humidity environment. So sweating is not going to do anything. It's not going to go anywhere. All it's going to do is trap moisture against your skin, which is going to sap the heat away from you, and we don't want that. So a lot of undersuits nowadays, they take that moisture, they wick it away from your skin as quickly as possible and move it out towards the shell of the dry suit. What they also do is they trap a uniform layer of air all over your body, and that's why there's such competition in undersuits nowadays. It's not as simple as just putting a sweatshirt on underneath your dry suit, because as soon as you go underwater, that sweatshirt is going to crush. It's going to be sort of squished by the pressure. And if you think you're always in you normally are always in a prone position, so laying down on your front, all of your body weight, all of your cylinder weight is pushing down on the bottom of the dry suit. That's going to push all of the air out of the bottom. Air naturally wants to rise as well. So your back stays nice and warm, but your chest and your tummy is going to get cold. This is very, very important to keep your thighs and your core as warm as possible, because if they're warm, then your body's going to work very efficiently. If they're cold, it's not going to work efficiently. So you have so many different varieties. I'm just going to talk about dry seals. Different varieties include silicone, which is on the left-hand side of your screen. So silicone is a very thin material. It's quite up and coming. It's all over the place nowadays, especially with sort of kitchen equipment and these kind of dry seals. It's a very effective material. It's very strong. This is where I differ from some people. They say it's quite fragile. I think it's quite stretchy. I've dived with latex, neoprene, and silicone seals. I like silicone seals the most because of their versatility. With silicone seals, if I talk about latex seals first, sorry. So latex seals were the golden standard. All dry suits will come with latex seals. You could have neoprene seals as well if you wanted, but latex were the sort of the common denominator. You would have to glue them on. The glue would take a couple days to cure. You'd have to cut them off. If you stored them improperly, they'd stick together and they'd pretty well melt. They worked very well, but if you dig your nail in, or if you got a ring with a stone in, it would just tear them. So they're very, very versatile, but they were kind of fragile. If you pull them too much, they'll just tear. And to get them repaired would take them a good couple of weeks, especially if you send them away to get done. With silicone seals, one of the major downsides with silicone is that nothing sticks to it. So you can't glue them into a dry suit. So what you need to use is a semi-rigid halo system. I call it a halo system. And you just get these rings around your cuffs and around your neck. When they first came out, I thought they were going to be really clunky, very, very uncomfortable. But now I dive with them. After you put them on, you don't notice them. They're out of the way. And the real benefit is that if you rip a neck or a cuff seal, you can change it in about 5 minutes on the boat. One of my friends, Winston, last year, we were diving in the Farne Islands. We drove all the way up from Ipswich up to the Farne Islands, which is a long time. Farne Islands is just shy of Edinburgh, so almost the length of England. And he was just trying on his dry suit and he ripped his cuff seal. And it was a latex cuff. So he didn't even get to go diving that holiday. If he had silicone seals, he could just swap it out within 5 minutes. So they are wonderfully versatile. I think they're stronger than latex. Other people disagree, but in my experience, they're more stretchy. And the third alternative is neoprene. So neoprene I had in my very, very first dry suit. They're nice and strong, and they do work. They're very effective. You have to get them the right size, because neoprene doesn't have a lot of give. So if it doesn't fit you properly, it is going to leak. The neck seals, a lot of people don't understand is that the shiny seal side is on the outside. So what you have to do is you have to roll it in against your neck, and that's going to create a watertight seal all around your neck. But the most important thing with all seals really is that you try and move as little as possible. My dive instructor told me very wise words, is that you look with your shoulders in a dry suit. As soon as you look straight up, you move your neck, you stretch the skin, and you stretch the seal, and you let the water in. If you move with your shoulders, keep your neck as stiff as possible. That's going to keep that seal intact. So neoprene's okay. Problem is it can be quite fragile because it doesn't have the double layer of protective outer coating. On the insides, the shiny sort of glide skin, it can be quite fragile. So when you're trying to pull it on, you can tear it. You get a very telltale sort of C-shaped tear. So you do have to be kind of careful with them. Dry zips. So the zips come in two main varieties nowadays. On the left, we've got the traditional brass gas zip. So these date back decades. These are the golden standard. They're quite tough. They're strong. but they can be quite fragile and brittle as well. So on 2 of my dry suits, I've got brass zips. They work fine. I've never had an issue with them. But if you bend them too much, if you put your dry suit away, you pack it away and you bend it too much, you'll break that zip. And the zip can be anything up to about 150 pounds to swap over. Very, very expensive. You need to look after your zips. Kelvin from Oceanic and Hollis, he said that, yeah, probably dry suits are the most neglected piece of scuba equipment that people use. You look after your regulators because you know you keep it alive, that they keep you alive. Your dry suit is just kind of a dry suit. It keeps you warm. You don't think too much about it. You come and bung it in your closet when you're done with it. You might wash it down a couple of times, but you do need to look after it. It's a very, very effective piece of kit. You need it to keep you alive underwater. The other kinds is the new up and coming. These came in, I don't know, a few years ago now. The plastic zips. They started off with more sort of T-zips. T-zip is a brand name. It's a bit like Hoover. You call everything a Hoover. It's actually a vacuum cleaner. T-zip is a brand. They came out with these plastic T-zips. Now YKK are starting up with them, and a few other brands are coming out. They're very, very flexible. They're very, very light, and they're very, very easy to do up and undo. The thing with the brass zips is they're quite tough. You need to wax your zips. So when they're closed, you just get some beeswax. You can get all sorts of different branded lubricants like Zip Slip and all that kind of stuff. Just to lubricate that zip, make it easier, especially when you first get it out after a season's diving. You start to use it next season, that zip can be quite stiff. You want to make it as easy as possible. With the newer plastic zips, they're a lot easier. A lot of people prefer to lubricate them. It just adds to the sort of added protection. But the most important thing is that that you make sure you do it up all the way. It sounds silly, but when you get to the bottom of a plastic zip, it kind of stops, and then you pull it until it clicks. Most people stop until it just stops, and then they go diving. They don't realize that they've still got about half a centimeter of open zip, and they complain that they get wet. It's just because you haven't done that dry suit all the way up. You got to pull it and then wait until it clicks and make sure it's done up. With everything with dry suits, it's very hard to diagnose faults. A lot of people say, "Oh, my dry suit leaks." I was like, "Okay, where's it leaking?" All over. It's like, "Okay, we need a bit more." They try and give you more accurate information, but unfortunately, a lot of it just leads to user error. Dry suits ideally keep you dry all the time, but you will get wet inside a dry suit. I get wet inside my dry suit. As soon as you start moving those seals around and you're more active in the water, you're going to let water in. It's a given. You're 30 meters underwater inside a sealed plastic bag. Odds are you're going to get wet if you start moving around. And zips, you need to look after your zips. These are very, very important to keep them in tip-top condition. So as far as dry suits, you get 2 main types of dry suit, as I see. You get membrane dry suits and neoprene dry suits. So membrane dry suits are often called trilaminates. You can get quad laminates now, and sometimes you see bilaminates. Trilaminate are more your diving suits. Quad laminate is the only one I know of is that waterproof D9, that very, very lightweight one. Bilaminate is more surface use only. They don't have the internal sort of polyester lining. It just makes them a bit more fragile. Trilaminates, they use a 3 sort of laminate material, all sort of welded together. You have an outer sort of nylon layer. This is your armor. This protects the sensitive waterproof butyl rubber inside. Now that middle layer, that rubber layer, this is your waterproofing. It stops water from getting in, but it's quite fragile. You need to protect it with that outer nylon. And on the inside, the rubber it's not the nicest against your skin or your undersuit. So they normally put a sort of polyester or silk or whatever kind of internal layer. That's what makes up a tri-laminate. Neoprene, neoprene is exactly the same as wetsuit neoprene, except more often than not, it's crushed or compressed. So the whole point of this is make it much, much tougher and make it a bit thinner as well, so you're a bit more maneuverable. So people, they'll make a like 7mm neoprene and then they'll crush it down to about 3 or 4 mil. It's much stronger. It's much heavier. It's not as easy to repair as membrane, and it's much more buoyant. So you're going to need a lot more lead to help you stay down. Membrane is much easier to repair. It's much lighter. It can be much more fitting, but as you go underwater, as that airspace that's keeping you warm, as you go down, that airspace is going to shrink down as it squeezes, and the material itself can actually pinch. So if you don't have a thick undersuit, that pinch is actually going to pinch your skin. I've seen dive masters come out with actual bruises where the pinch is actually pinched them so bad it's actually bruised. Obviously, you can just add air to your dry suit. That just relieves that squeeze. But neoprene doesn't pinch because it's a soft, thicker material. Tri-laminate also has no thermal capacity itself. Neoprene, it has a thermal capacity. So with my neoprene dry suit, my D10, I'll dive that in the summertime just in shorts and a t-shirt because I don't need any more undersuit. The neoprene itself is enough to keep me warm. If I do that in my membrane, I'm going to get very cold very quick. I do need a bit of air underneath that membrane just to keep me warm. So with membrane, you use your undersuit to control how warm you are in the water. In warmer months, you don't need a thick undersuit, but in cold months, you do need to start layering up underneath. With neoprene, it's a bit more sort of evened out because you always have that sort of buffer of neoprene thermal capacity. As far as feet go, there's two alternatives. You either get a fixed boot, which here we've got waterproof Kevlar soft boot, very, very comfortable. You can get more of a more like a Wellington boot, and all the different manufacturers, they make different alternatives. So these are a fitted boot onto the bottom of the leg. They're completely sealed in, and this is what your fin goes onto. So of course you're wearing dry suit socks, so undersuit socks inside this boot, which makes them a bit bigger than your wetsuit boots. So that means that you might need to go up a size in your fins. You need to buy another pair of fins, unfortunately. These sort of boots that we see, the Kevlar ones, the neoprene continues down around most of the boot, and the only solid part is on the real base and up the heel. This allows a greater freedom of movement around the ankle. You've got much more comfort around the ankle, gives you more efficient finning when you're moving around. The alternative to the boot is for a dry suit sock. So this sock that we see in the middle of the screen, this is from the D9. It just continues. Normally it's like a neoprene sock. Some people dive just with the boot, the fin on them. Most people, they buy a pair of rock boots that go over the top. So rock boots are just a tough sort of canvas, almost trainer as such, that go over your dry suit socks, and they're the bit that gives you the rigidity. So I like the concept of the socks with the rock boots, because if you have a dry suit with a pair of boots built in and you spend a lot of time in them and you eventually wear through the sole or you wear through a certain part of the boot, then you need to replace the entire boot. So boots can be very, very expensive because they're hard to swap over, because you've got to get on the inside right down to the bottom of the leg. they're usually quite expensive to repair. Whereas if you wear through the sole of your rock boot, you just throw that one away and you buy another pair of, I don't know, 20, 30 pound rock boots. So as far as longevity, I prefer socks, but integrated boots are very, very comfortable. I've dived in both. It's a personal preference thing, but both of them work equally well. Add-ons. So add-ons, they really make or break your dry suit. The most important one is smack dab in the middle. That's your undersuit. So undersuits, they come in lots of different grades. You get really, really thin ones like your Body Tech single layer, or you can go all the way up to like a Hilo 2 or a Weasel Extreme Plus. It depends what kind of diving you're doing. You don't have to go overkill. You need to assess what dry suit you got, how much you feel the cold, and how long you want to stay underwater. Hoods, as I mentioned earlier, make a world of difference. I remember once one of my students was struggling with a skill. He didn't want to wear a hood. Tried to get in the water, and I said, I'll tell you what, he didn't want to put his head under the water because he didn't have a hood on. So I took my hood off, gave it to him. As soon as I put my head under that water, it was like an ice cream headache. Hoods make a huge, huge difference. Again, you don't have to go crazy thick. Just a 5mm or a 7mm max in this country. Just that added insulation around your head makes a world of difference. Dry gloves, very, very important. There are two main sort of dry gloves on the market today. You've got the SciTech, and now you've got the SCUBA dry glove system. SCUBA dry gloves are really becoming the most popular nowadays on the market. They have an anodized aluminium ring system, and they can be added to any seal system up to about 2mm thick. So what you do is you have one ring system over your wrist, and then you attach the other to your dry glove system. Now the ones here, they're the standard gloves that come with it. They're a bit like tough marigolds, really, and they create a dry seal, and they keep your hands dry as well. The downside of this is that the glove itself is a sealed airspace. So as you go underwater, that airspace is going to shrink, and you need to add air volume to that. So with a lot of them, you get a little straw, and that just breaks the cuff seal of the dry suit. You just put it underneath. That just allows air to transfer from your dry suit into your dry glove, just so that your hands don't get a pinch. Very, very effective, very easy to get on and get off. And they do make a very, very big difference to your comfort underwater. Neoprene gloves are very effective, but dry gloves are just at another level. Another important add-on is your Neo Slicks. So this is for not just Neo Slicks, any sort of decent talcum powder. Non-fragranced is very important, so you can't just buy the stuff from the supermarket, because the added fragrance can affect your seals, and this just degrades them that much faster, and you won't get as long a lifetime out of them. Neo Slicks is a water-based sort of jelly material, and you spray this on your wrists and around your head and your neck if you want, and that just helps you get the seals over your hands and over your head without tearing them. If you go in without any kind of lubricant or talcum powder, you put too much stress on those seals and you can tear them. So for the sake of a sort of £5 or £6 bottle of Neo Slicks, you're saving yourself a good sort of £50 changing those seals over. Another important thing is a decent coat hanger. You can't just use traditional, like a wire coat hanger. Same with your wetsuit. If you use a very, very thin coat hanger, you're going to create a crease. Mainly in neoprene dry suits, membrane aren't too bad, but again, you don't want to put too much pressure on a single part of any dry suit. So you either have these sort of wide-shouldered dry suit hangers, These spread the loads, give it a more natural shape, or you can get some that have sort of a 3-prong sort of horizontal setup that you can fit the dry suit boots into and then hang them up upside down from the boots. These are very good because any water in a dry suit actually travels down. So again, when people complain that their dry suit's leaking, they say, "Oh, well, my legs are getting wet." Like, okay, well, water always goes down, so your legs are always going to be the bits that get wet. But to get that out, you've got to hang it up upside down. So, so with your dry suit, it's very important to store it as upright and flat as possible. As soon as you start rolling them and folding them, you're creating those creases similar to a sleeping bag. You don't want to create any creases in your dry suit. You want to have it as open and free and natural as possible. With latex seals, you need to put a light covering of like a talcum powder. Again, non-fragrance, so the proper stuff that makes them. And this just keeps them from sticking to themselves. If you had a dry suit for a few years, you'll notice that the latex material goes very, very soft, almost turns into a liquid, especially when it's touching itself. So that sort of thin layer of talcum powder just stops it from degrading quite so quick. So try and store it upright. If you've got space in a cupboard, just hang it upright. Wash it off. The same with all your equipment. Just clean, fresh water. Make sure it's nice and fresh. Keeping the zip open or closed is, again, a bit of debate. Some people say always leave them open. Some people say leave them closed. I say brass zips, leave them open, just because there's not quite as much stress on them. Plastic zips, leave them closed because that stops contaminants getting in between the teeth. Again, just chat with your dive buddies. I don't think there's any sort of true right or wrong answer. It's just a matter of this works, this doesn't tend to work. And it depends how you store your dry suit. The main point is to not have any stress points on it at all. Okay, so I've got a couple more questions, and then we're going to call it a night. There I am. So, where did I leave off? Class DG asks, have you ever been to SCUBA Flow? No, it's on my short list. I'm going soon. I just need to find someone that's organizing a trip. If you did, what did you think of it when you were there? I only ever hear sort of good things. It's a bit of potluck as far as it getting blown out, but when you do get to go diving, it is very good. So yeah, if you're organising the trip, let me know. I'll tag along quite happily. Yeah, I just need to find a decent dive buddy that wants to travel all the way up. I'm up for risking it. Yeah, I only ever hear good things about SCUBA Flow. Christian Wood on Facebook asks, I'm an advanced diver. I'm looking for some new fin size large. And that's it. Yeah, depends what kind of diving you're doing. There are lots of good fins out there. There's quite a few behind me. Yeah, it depends what kind of diving you're doing. If you're a traveling diver, there are lots of lightweight fins like the Aris XLs. These ones they're the Tusa Solas. They're top notch. They're a very lightweight fin, but they're good and powerful. They're good for moving around in current. They're a very, very clever sort of channeled biomaterial fin. They travel it, and they're sort of hinged and well, not hinged, but they're angled as well. Very, very nice, good pair of fins. One thing I'll recommend is have a look at spring heel straps. These are just regular rubber adjustable heel straps. Have a look for springs. Make life a lot easier getting them on and off. Yeah, the world is your oyster as far as fins. Yeah, it depends where you're going, what you're doing, and what your weight allowance is. I mean, I use I use Hollis F1s. They're sort of big, heavy, sort of tough vented fins. Yeah, it's really depends where you're going. If you've got more information, feel free to put it on Facebook. Just put #SCUBA Live. I'll find it. I'll write back to you or pop us a message on Facebook if you want more advice. I need a bit more information, unfortunately. I'm trying to say this right. Team Eco Gaming asks, what would you recommend getting a wetsuit boots replaced with, boots or socks? A wetsuit boot or a dry suit boot? With a wetsuit boot, I use wetsuit boots. If you're using more of a free diving sort of a closed foot fin, then I tend to wear socks. But yeah, if you're just replacing a wetsuit boot, I just replace it with another wetsuit boot. Again, same guy, but Jack in brackets. So I've just turned 16 and I'm qualified AOW with Paddy. I was contemplating between increasing my number of dives as I've got 21 logged. You want to do your master scuba course or DM. What are your thoughts? DM is good. Of course, rescue diver is going to give you about 5 extra dives. DM, you've got to start on 40 and finish on 60. The best thing is to contact a dive center and start up almost an internship. When I learned to dive, that's how I did it. I did my advanced open water, started to do marine conservation work around the world. That upped my dive count. Another way to do it without moving around the world is to book onto liverboards. So liverboards, you live on the boat for the entire week. A lot of my videos, if you go on our YouTube channel, there's a few of my dive site reviews. They're all done from a liverboard, and you're diving about 4 times a day for about, I think it's about 5 days. So that's a good way of just getting 20 dives done in 1 week. It's quite intensive, but you get lots of diving done. But then after I came back from marine conservation work, I just found my local dive center, asked if they wanted any help, and I just started diving with them, started to climb the ladder, did my rescue diver, eventually I did my dive master with them. The more time you can spend in the industry, talking to customers, dealing with sort of students and whatnot, you'll be a much more effective dive master. And after your rescue diver course, you'll be that much more confident in the water. You start forgetting about yourself. You know that your equipment's all right because you set it up, and you can start to, I refer to it as a bubble. When you first start, your bubble is very, very small. You focus on just yourself, your dive computer, your regulator. That's all you focus on. As you start to relax into it, you know what you're doing. Your bubble gets bigger, and you start to focus on your buddy. Then when you're comfortable with that, you start to focus on everyone else. The dive master is important to take your time. Don't rush it. There are intensive courses out there, and they're okay, but all they really teach you to do is jump through the hoops. To be a good, efficient dive master, especially if you're looking at heading up to instructor level, you need experience with students. You need experience in the water. So yeah, I'd recommend traveling as much as possible and do as much as you can in this country or in cold water environments. Because if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere. If you learn all of your stuff abroad in Thailand and Egypt, okay, you're an instructor, but when you come over to here, it's a different environment. If you lose a student in Egypt, you just look around and that invariably you can see them. If you lose a student in the UK, it's not quite as easy to find them. So you've got to have your head on a swivel. Learn to dive in the UK makes you a much better diver. You're much more alert and you're much more aware. But take your time. There's no great rush. Oh, pardon me. Yeah. Talk to your local dive center. Try and get diving with them. Make some friends. Go diving by yourself. But the important thing is don't do just training dives. Try and dive for fun. I spent a lot of early part of my career just doing training dives, and I never ended up training, just diving for fun. That's a very, very important part of it. Right, guys, that's it for this week. I've got a few more questions. I'll see what I can do about answering them at the beginning of next show. If not, I'll find you on the social media and I'll answer you then. So thanks very much for watching. As always, use that hashtag Scuba Live all throughout the month. If you use that hashtag, I'll add that to the list and I'll answer those questions next time. Thanks for watching. Safe diving. It's getting cold out there, so start having a look at your equipment. You want to get it out earlier rather than later. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.